Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Disco Kitty the Crappy Crafter. Today we're gonna work with resin. We're gonna make a Ouija board that has serious weed overtones. No way! Right on! Yeah! Goodbye! And of course the planchette. And I also have this mold that I'm going to try to use to make my own pendulum board. And I'm going to use these two crystal things. They're super cheap crystal things. And I'm going to use those to make my own pendulums. Because I'm getting back into the paranormal and stuff. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's take a look at this mold. And you'll notice that all of the letters and the things are raised here, which means that when it's all molded, it'll be like that, and all of those will be indented, not raised up. So I feel like this isn't gonna slide very well. We'll probably put a top coat on it, but we'll see what happens. Let's get right into it. I had 5 hours worth of footage on this because I spent entirely too long making all of the raised parts, you know, really pretty and stuff. Here I don't know why I decided to do it this way, but you know, after we finish this part, I'm using a little alcohol to get rid of the powder that has dropped into places where I don't want it. I realized that the powder is going to drop into places where I don't want it, and the best way to keep that from happening is to powder the entire mold with a base color. The whole thing is going to be black, so I'm powdering it with a black powder. The resin's going to be black too, so if I miss any spots with this, you probably won't tell. And then I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna use a wet wipe, and it's gonna do a really, really bad job of trying to pick this powder up off the mold. So I'm gonna do what you're not supposed to do and go in with alcohol. And that worked a lot better. Just look at how quickly that comes right off. I mean, yeah, this is sped up like 30 times, but you know what? It went a whole lot faster than trying to use a wet wipe. So, yeah. I know alcohol is not good for the mold, but you know what? I got this mold from a website called Miniature Sweet, and they have lots and lots of resin stuff and lots of cool stuff, and yeah, I highly recommend it. I mean, it all comes from China, but whatever. So I tried to make the moon white, but it has a yellow hue to it that I don't like. I made the sun yellow and the joint and the smoke white, but this just isn't going to work, and I'm going to end up filling it in with resin anyways. So I shouldn't have spent all of this time working, doing this, when it wasn't going to work anyways. But I didn't know that. I failed, so you don't have to. I mean, it looks like it's going to be really cool. Just look at the color shifts there. Yay. Blue to purple, yum. But yeah, did you see that yellow? I don't want a yellow moon. I want a white moon. So this resin is really old, but because I'm going to make it black anyways, I don't care that the resin or the hardener, I think it's the hardener that turns color, is yellow and gross. Give it a hot water bath. Lots of black pigment, probably a little too much, but you know what? In this particular case, better too much than too little. If this were UV resin, I wouldn't have used nearly as much, because then the light wouldn't get through, and we've seen in previous projects what happens when light doesn't cure the resin piece quite as much as you're expecting. So I happened to make just the right amount. And this is a vibrating massager, and I got it specifically for this purpose. I've had it for a while, and I mean, it kind of works. You see where the bubbles are popping. The problem is that I really should have done it more slowly. I should have used a pipette to do the insides of the letters and the numbers. There's going to be a lot of voids in this. And you know what? It's a first one. Oh, so pretty. It's okay. And that green is so lovely. Okay, now it's time to demold the big piece. Look, cat hair. Always cat hair. If you get a piece of resin from me, it probably has a cat hair in it somewhere. See, now this worked fairly well. It's okay, but it just doesn't pop the way I want it to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna try to remember which pigments I used, and then I will fill up all the little spots and things. And yeah, see, I could feel it. It wasn't gonna slide real good over that, so we'll see what happens. The first thing I'm gonna do is some of the voids in the middle of the numbers I'm gonna build up with a UV resin. It'll work okay. Not quite the way I want it to, but I will take more time and do it properly next time so I don't have to do this. And it will save time. And next we're going to use some UV resin in the letters and numbers. I probably should have added a little bit of white pigment to that so that the red would pop more, but meh. I don't know. I think this worked out pretty well. And that was supposed to be a golden color, but it turned out a copper color, which I'm fine with. It's good. It's alright. It gives it more of a fall feel. And this is where I realized that that's just not going to work. So I get out one of the syringes I used to fill my shaker charms, and used that to go through all of the really narrow circles. And honestly, I should have just used the syringe on all the letters and numbers too. It would have been easier, it would have been faster, but things we know for next time. Use a syringe, do not use a pipette, because it's not thin enough for what I needed it to do anyway. Look at that white though. That white is so much better than the yellowish white. This joint I had to do quickly because I didn't want the white to, you know, like be where the yellow is supposed to be. And of course, every time I finish a section, I cure it under my UV lamp for at least 2 minutes, at least. And that's how it came out with all the UV resin. Yeah, see, you can't feel it. I can feel it, but it clicks and catches. So we're going to put a fairly heavy top coat on top of it. Just dome it a little bit. And first thing you have to do is you got to sand it a little bit so that the resin has something to grab hold of. And then you want to clean it very well, because if it's dusty, again, the resin won't adhere. You use Let's Resin 2-part, 1:1 by volume. I really like 1:1 by weight better, but you know, it is what it is. This stuff works pretty well. I like it. It's nice and clear. It's easy to work with. Putting a layer on the planchette as well because I don't want it to scuff. And it came out so pretty. We'll go put some feet on it so it slides because this particular resin is a little stickier. Stickier is not a good word, but it slides even less well on that domed resin than it did on the other resin. So I got some little felt footies and I'm going to cut one in half because of the shape of the leaf. And yeah, look at it slide. It slides really nice on that. I really enjoyed it. So I did not make my own board. I ended up buying a board. This is made of wood. It was really, really nice. It cost me only $7 and it actually came with a fairly nice little pendulum. But I did make my own pendulum. I also had a bunch of leftover resin because you know me, I can't judge how much resin I need to save my life. Here's the pendulum, and I actually stuck the threaded eyelet in the resin before it cured, so I wouldn't have to drill a hole. I probably shouldn't be using the toothpick to do this. I may have put a hole in that. I'm not entirely sure. Doesn't really matter because it's one of those super cheap molds. You get like a dozen of them for $5 anyways. I can always get another. But I bet you're wondering how it came out so easy. That's because I use a solution, half and half, alcohol and dish detergent, technically, dish soap, whatever. And it comes out really, really well. It's really easy to use. It doesn't make the mold sticky or anything. It's nice. It's fun. Nobody was hanging out with me today, you know. Nobody wanted to say yes or no or maybe or ask again or anything. It's just sitting there. I really, really enjoyed doing this though. It was a lot of fun. Well, those came out pretty well. Pretty well. Here's the Weedja board. And here's the planchette that I made with it. It's nice, and it with the dots on the back, it slides nice and smooth. Otherwise, it was a little sticky. The resin on resin didn't work so well. And then the planchette that I made when I topped that spirit board, because I just made way too much. And you know what? That's fine. Obviously, the universe wanted to have a sparkly planchette, so that worked well. I also made a cat hair all over everything. I also made a pendulum out of one of these horribly annoying molds. These molds are so obnoxious and I hate them. However, if you use the 50-50, you know, alcohol and soap detergent, technically this is Dawn dish detergent mixed with alcohol, 70% alcohol. So, and I've used that as my go-to mold release for years, and I love it. I do. And I will not wash this out because I'm gonna add more later anyways, so why would I do that? I think I might make a different pendulum now. I wasn't really planning on making one that day, but here it is. And the way I did that was, you know, it's oh, look at that. I poured in the resin, and then I got, because it's just the right height, I got these two tapes, and then I put a couple stirring sticks on top, and then I got one of these and I put that on top, and I threaded it through a little eyelet, a little eye screw, and then I didn't have to worry about drilling it and doing it later. Plus, I was able to, it helped me pull the stupid thing out of the mold because, like I said, if you have ever used these molds, you probably hate them as much as everybody else because they are obnoxious. Obnoxious to use. I may have scratched to this one, but you know what? That's okay. I don't know if I really like this shape for a pendulum anyways. I don't know. The pendulum that came with this spirit board, because I bought the spirit board on Amazon, and when it came I was like, oh, that's a really nice wood. That's nice. It's $7. This was a lot nicer than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be some kind of like, I don't know, heavy duty cardboard or something, you know, but it came on a nice piece of wood. It's not even like particle board or anything. It's just nice. And it came with this. And I might, you know, I just might make a mold of this. Or I have a pendulum, a nice brass pendulum downstairs that I might make a mold of. We'll see. Or I might just use the brass pendulum. We'll see. But this is what this came like. Bleh. This is what this came out looking like. And, you know, I thought that was pretty. It's definitely a lot nicer with the top coat on top, because the black wasn't really black. Now the black is like black. A shiny surface always makes blacks more black and colors really pop. So that was nice. That came out nice. But that wasn't really the reason why we're here today. This is the reason why we're here today. And this came out absolutely lovely. I really enjoyed making it. I spent way too much time putting powder on top of those letters though, and I am not going to do that again. The next time I make one of these, I'm just going to pour some resin right in, and then when I take it out, then I will top up the letters and all the little things like I did afterwards, because it came out really, really well. And I will certainly use powders that pop a little bit better than that. But you know what? Everything worked out pretty well in the end, and I will probably never actually use the spirit board, because that's kind of scary stuff. I don't want to invite negative things into my home. But yes, everything worked, and everything came out of their molds really well. Even this one, because I used the 50/50 alcohol and dish soap. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I hope you had fun coming through with me. And until next week, stay safe. Say hello to Abby Cat. You don't get to see the babies very often anymore because I'm lazy and I don't like hunting them down. But this is Abby, and she is excited about all of the things on my desk. Oh, you smell like litter. Ah, no, we're not climbing up the shelves. All right, go bye.